All right, everyone, welcome to this daily Sidereal Astrology forecast. So today we've got very much a continuation from Sunday, which was the solar eclipse in Aquarius. So still definitely a receptive time, still things being released. We got Mercury over the South Node today. In fact, maybe a lot of things being released are thinking patterns, past things having to do with certain perspectives, or maybe communication as well, which we'll talk about. But in general, we're still definitely within the orb of the solar eclipse. So it is a time of allowing past energies to go. And inner reflection, meditation, all of that can certainly help. A lot of it may have to do with where we can bring in a bit more freedom and individuality in our life, which was the solar eclipse in Aquarius. So the moon is going to be in Pisces today, shifting into the next sign over. So while things are very spiritual because of the solar eclipse, certainly in the sense of our emotions here for the next few days, very intuitive, very receptive, could certainly be a day like that. Very good for listening to that inner guidance. But there's a lot going on with our energy and confidence and motivation, making change in our life. We still have Mars over Uranus, and Mars is going to oppose up to Jupiter, and Uranus has been opposing up to Jupiter. So we've got Mars and Jupiter now in this opposition to Mars and Uranus to Jupiter, which is helping us really expand our confidence and actually take some actions, make some changes. And again, it's also we can have a bit more freedom in our life and shape our life. So it's more of an expression of who we are and what we're about. All right, so that is the day generally, but let's go ahead and look at this in more detail when we return. All right, so there it is. We've got the very early stages of this now new lunar cycle and even new solar cycle for the next both 30 days and the next year. And a lot of this has to do with, again, the spiritual new beginnings, essentially, whatever clearing we did last week and still are doing today and for the first few days of the week. Any new insights, any new beginnings. And that's exactly what we want to continue to do today, is kind of feel our way around and see what kind of new beginnings are taking shape. And in the process, be flexible, be adaptive, kind of put our energy into wherever those new little seedlings are starting to sprout. So the moon will be in Pisces here. Definitely, again, intuitive, really good for inner guidance, maybe R&R, especially because, again, it's the lowering energy time of the solar eclipse. But anything that does help us let go, surrender, and maybe have a bit more tranquility in our life, which has already been emphasized. It's been a very receptive time anyways for about the past couple months with Venus and Mars transiting Pisces here. So today the strongest thing is Mars. Mars going over Uranus from yesterday, still very strong here today. But Mars opposing up to Jupiter with, again, Jupiter who's been opposing up to Uranus. So we have this opposition involving these planets, and essentially what I feel like we'll be sort of feeling today is a lot more of this, confidence and wanting to make some changes and feeling like we do have what it takes to make the changes and to create these new things or shape things in a way that's more an expression of what we're truly about. So very powerful. Jupiter expands anything it touches. And in this sense, both Mars, the confidence, the personal needs, as well as, again, the need for freedom and individuality. So on a cautionary note, because, of course, it is an opposition and we can sometimes go to extremes, it is very important, I feel like, this early part of the week to bring some extra attention to if there is a lot of overbearingness, if you're feeling that side of it, too much Mars, right? Maybe too much concentrated on the personal needs, or maybe selfishness. Sometimes this can be the case. Overbearing, sometimes ruthless and impatient can be some negative qualities of Mars. So it's not that we'll necessarily be feeling that, but there is a propensity towards an imbalance of too much Mars with oppositions, especially up to Jupiter, because, again, Jupiter can expand it regardless of what it is, whether it's imbalanced or balanced. So very good to bring extra attention there just to make sure everything is nice and balanced. Be a bit patient, take a step back. If it is interpersonal, being aware of others' needs and cooperating and that kind of thing, you know, so it's not too much concentrated on what is, though, a very good week for putting energy into our personal needs, into the changes we want to see again, and maybe whatever might take the confidence to do that. We can certainly utilize with these transits. All right, so that's Mars side to it. Definitely the most important thing we've got going on today, but Mercury is going over the South Node, which is all part of that solar eclipse. If you recall what I was talking about with Mercury, is that there are some past patterns having to do with either thinking or the way we're speaking, and again, how our thoughts and our words really do manifest and impact and determine our experiences. And so what we're thinking, what we're saying is so important. So bringing some attention to that in a sense of maybe there's some past thinking patterns, some past ways of communicating or past speech patterns, and maybe even some things in the routine that can be changed and restructured. So maybe it's a day of doing that, restructuring the routine, restructuring the mind, and the communications. All right, so very powerful there. And again, just like with the solar eclipse, we can learn a lot about these new beginnings and what's taking shape here for the next lunar and solar cycle. All right, so a lot going on today. Three very important things going on. The moon is forming a few aspects on a minor note, sextiling Pluto in the first half. We could be feeling like, we want some change, and the emotions can certainly support that. There might be some wounds around some of this stuff. We might be feeling like incapable or wounded, but this is very natural, very normal. Where there is change, there's of course wounds that do come up, and as we do the healing there, naturally we accept the emotions and the wounds. It will help facilitate this process, and it can be very rejuvenating, in fact. And then the moon does square Saturn, so there might be a bit of isolation or detachment with the emotional body on a minor note the second half of the day. And again, just with a bit of patience, taking a step back, not taking anything too seriously with the emotions and all of this, I think can be a great way of facilitating this very important part of the week. So that's the day in a nutshell. Definitely important. Still, again, I would say the most fundamental thing is we're still in the solar eclipse. It's still the new phase of this, very important. Now, next 6 months, because 6 months from now, we're going to have the next set of eclipses. And so all of this releasing, all of these changes, all of this balance and health we're bringing back into our life right now will be implemented over the next 6 months. And that's when we're going to see the high point with that, the cultivation of a lot of it. And with Mars over Uranus, a brand new cycle, a brand new 2.5-year cycle, in fact, of making changes, putting energy into things that are an expression of what we're about. And, really expressing that individualism and using the confidence with Mars opposite Jupiter, using the confidence and the wherewithal, and the boost to those personal needs to actually take the actions that we may feel like we want to take at this time. All right. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.